Yes. Hi, Richard.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to follow up on something that I think you said speaking to Fernando, and it's kind of tangential, maybe. But did I hear you correctly? You said no, nothing is happening in his heart for the
Yes.
mind, because I remember reading that same phrase when I was reading "I am that," and Mr. Gadata wrote that, and at the time my mind was very baffled by it, and I still am. So could you speak more about that?
Sure. Consider all sorts of brain activities, synoptic synoptic activities in the brain, which result in the body functioning, perceiving, perceiving a thought, perceiving a sensation, perceiving color, perceiving a sound, perceiving hunger. Consider that your entire experience as a model, just presenting a model, is just some sort of field of energy and various nodes firing and sending signals to each other. And as a result of this very complex undertaking, there is the experience of having a conversation right now. Yeah. So what is happening? Just using this model. Well, what is happening is some synoptic activities somewhere. And well, what is it that is real in your experience? Well, you're perceiving. There is a perception of this conversation, a perception of color, sounds, sensations, images, whatever. There is no way around denying the perceiver, the perception, that in fact there is perception. The model that I presented, which was some synoptic activities, is a model. Somebody could present a different model and say, well, there are some beings on other galaxies and they're wired somehow into our brain or into our field of experience, and they're downloading uh, whatever they want to download. They're smoking a big J and they're downloading all sorts of stuff. And this is what we're experiencing. So that's another model. Irrespective of which model you use, you cannot deny the fact that there is something rather than nothing. There is something, whatever that is, which is perceiving this. How real, quote unquote, is this, meaning that which you are perceiving? Well, it is only as real as you, whatever that is, which is perceiving the perception. In other words, the reality, the relationship between whatever it is that perceives and the colors, shapes, sounds, feelings, sensations, wars that we are perceiving is that one is absolutely real, whatever that is that perceives, and that which is perceived is, we say, mind stuff, or you could say synoptic activity, or you could say extraterrestrial download activity. The point that I'm making is that whichever way you explain or whichever way you model whatever it is that we experience thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, memories, events, whichever way you explain them or model them, is not so significant and so relevant. What is most significant is to comprehend that you cannot model reality. You cannot model whatever it is that is, which cannot not be. Whatever it is that is and cannot be is whatever it is and cannot not be. There is nothing that can model that which cannot not be. Because that which cannot not be is absolute in and of itself. You can model perceptions and sensations in the realm of what we refer to as a phenomenal realm. Now, if something is happening, there are two options. One is that it is real and therefore absolute. And it makes no sense for any teacher to say, well, there is nothing happening, because that would be BS, because it is real and absolute. And the other option is that it is not real, not absolute, and therefore, yeah, I'm open to there's nothing happening. So let's look at both options. What does it mean for something to be not real and not absolute? It means that it appears and disappears. It appears as whatever. You say the feeling of love, the feeling of sadness, the feeling of anger, and it disappears. What's interesting, not just that it appears and disappears, meaning it's a temporary reality. What is a temporary reality? It's an oxymoron. Reality is not, there's no time frame to reality, it's absolute. But not only is it interesting that it's a temporary thing, maybe not real in the sense that reality is absolute. But also, just have a blank. It's gonna come to, it'll come back to me. Just had a blank. Yes, it came back to me. Is that I can experience a certain event and feel sadness. And I could experience that same event at a different point in time, but experience indifference. Or I could experience that same event another point of time and experience, oh, that's cool. In other words, the reality is not in the event. The reality is not in that which is perceived. If the reality was in that which is perceived, then two different people perceiving that same event, the event is absolute and real, and they would perceive it the same way. But that's not the case. Me and you, we can perceive the same event, and I could be very affected, and you could be very indifferent, or vice versa. The point that I'm making is that the reality is not in the event. The reality is not in that which appears. So there were two options. One option is that which is happening is not real. It's not absolute in time. It appears and disappears. It's not absolute in time. And it's relative to how we're perceiving it. So given that it's relative to how we're perceiving it, then it makes it relative. It makes that which is the event of that which is happening relative and not absolute. And if we come to the conclusion that, yes, what is happening is temporary, impermanent, and what is happening is relative vis-a-vis how it's being perceived, therefore it's not real, then we can discard the belief that there is something happening, because if something is happening and it's not real, that means nothing is happening in my English. Okay? If something is happening, it's not real, might as well be a dream. I dream all the time, all sorts of things are happening, and I win $1 million. I wake up in the morning, I still have the same bank account, So that takes care of that. Now, the other option available to us is that what is happening is absolutely real. And I'm okay with that. If that which is happening is absolutely real, then given that reality is consciousness, meaning given that reality is one reality, that which does not change in our experience, which is I, awareness, consciousness. It's important that you understand that it's consciousness which is real. It's changeless. Given that consciousness is real, therefore, that which appears is consciousness. It's not something else. It doesn't have like a separate reality apart from the reality of consciousness. And if that which is happening is not separate or apart from consciousness itself, then we can say nothing is happening. Or another way of saying it is that that which is happening is consciousness dancing. Sometimes I speak of the Shakti aspect of consciousness, the movement aspect of consciousness, like a wave. Oh, something is happening, it's a wave. But no, it's actually water itself that is waving. So you can choose either statement. Statement one, nothing is happening, only consciousness is. Or statement two, whatever is happening is consciousness itself playing on the stage. And the stage is itself, because there is nothing, no other reality. There's no stage reality, which is apart from the reality of consciousness. So the stage itself is consciousness. The events on the stage is consciousness. And the perceiver of that which is happening is consciousness itself. You can use either ways of speaking it, because they refer to the same understanding.
I think that's helpful. I need to. That's much more than I had going into the question, and I will think about it. I guess as a side note, it's interesting. In the context of I am that, I mean, the question was framed, and he was being asked about I'm sadly ignorant of what conflict, but there was a conflict going on in the world, and he was asked about. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's beautiful.
He was being asked about what should we do in the face of violence and conflict, which sadly is the question we seem to always face. And his answer was, the war could spill into this room, and we may see it, and I may even find myself involved in it, but nonetheless, nothing is happening.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a very powerful. It stuck with me for years. Just thinking about that.
Yes. Yes. There's the metaphor of the dream. That the waking state is like the dream state, except the events in the waking state have a longer lasting effect than in the dream state, and there's more consistency between the events in the waking state and in the dream state. There's a certain continuity in the waking state and the dream state, but nonetheless, it's dreamlike, it's mind-like. So when you wake up from the dream, of course, you realize, nothing is happening. And yet here we are in the waking dream, having conversation, talking. We feed the cat, we do things, but yet nothing is happening. The understanding about nothing is happening can move from the conceptual to the experiential in the realization, which is experiential, that you are this invisible presence. And nothing happens to invisible presence. Nothing happens to this I, formless awareness, reality, which perceives right now. It's not made out of flesh and bones, atoms, molecules. Awareness is not made out of thoughts and feelings. It's not made out of things. But it's undeniable that I, right now in this moment, is this invisible reality, this that it perceives, that is. So the understanding that nothing is happening experientially comes from the experience of consciousness itself.
Yeah, it is like a lot of things. It's very conceptual for me still, and just trust that. Reminding myself to when I find to just remind myself to try to live as I understand. That's what I just try to do. But
it should be the more we expose ourselves to the non-doing teaching, the more we get close to it. We don't have to poke the balloon, The more we get close to it, we catch some of it without even being aware of it, without even knowing it. So yes, it's what we are. It's this this presence, this formless awareness is what we are. It's like simply saying yes to it is a big step already, huge step. Maybe even the biggest step. Maybe even the only step.
Thank you. Yeah, I try and I sit and just try to practice it. Thank you very much, Magdi.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.